My absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, it's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of September 16th, where this week it's brilliant because we are in the eclipse zone. We have got this lunar eclipse happening in Pisces, and if you have not already checked out my video on that, go ahead and check it out where I focus specifically in on what that eclipse is bringing to our attention, of course, based on where it's at in your individual chart. But we are in the eclipse energy, but even more exciting, I think, than the eclipse energy is that we are also going to be welcoming in our new season this week. We will have Libra season kick in, and we will welcome in the equinox. And it's a big deal to celebrate as we have these season changes because it is a fresh start for all of us, right? It's a new energy blowing in and a new opportunity to create and work with the astrology that is playing out in each of our lives. So we are going to definitely be talking about everything that's going on in the cosmic weather this week, but I wanted to share something with you that is really exciting. On this channel, I heard you when you asked me that in the weekly videos, if I could put in maybe a quote or a thought to guide us through the week. And yes, absolutely I can. And yes, absolutely I have and will. So to celebrate our new season, you can just watch in our videos now. Every week, there will be a quote and a thought to guide you through the week to see how you can connect with your astrology and where you can really make it real in your own life. So before we get started on our forecast and we jump into the days of the week, I will make sure that the quote is put there, give you a little bit of guidance. All of the information and timestamps will be in the description box down below. Now, if we haven't met before, I'm practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I practice evolutionary and humanistic astrology, and that is important because it means I come through a very specific lens. So if that's the kind of astrology you like, then welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Now, my friends, if you are an astrology enthusiast, if you are a newbie, wherever you are at on your astrology journey, if you are looking to learn astrology, I have got my new Astrology 101 Foundations course, which teaches you to read, write, and speak astrology. I'm very excited about it. It comes from my new astrological school, GAFA, the Grace Astrological Fluency Academy, where we focus on you being fluent in the language of astrology for whatever you would like to do with it next. If you just want some astrology in your life or you want to go on to a professional career, we've got you. So if you'd like to take that class right now, while it is still in its beta testing phase, you can grab that class, all 6 beautiful lessons, for $67, and you can do that in the description box down below. So our quote this week comes from my teacher, Stephen Forrest, and it says, "Eclipses bring the unseen light into the world, revealing what's been hidden from our view. They guide us towards the next step on our path." And this is from the beautiful Book of the Moon. If you have not checked that out, I'll make sure there's a link to it in my Amazon store down below. But the question I have for you to think about this week, to guide your journey, is what truths are coming to light for you this week? As the eclipse reveals what's being hidden, where can you embrace these insights and allow them to guide you on your next steps? All right, soulmates. So like I said in the beginning, this week is just absolutely packed with energy because we've got this really powerful full moon lunar eclipse happening on Tuesday in the vibration of Pisces. And then just a couple weeks later, we're also going to see the next eclipse come in with the new moon solar eclipse. And all of this is about bringing revelation, bringing things to the surface, bringing the pivots that we need. Many times it's going to bring, changes and endings to things that are not vibrationally in alignment anymore. And the point of it is not for the universe to come around and just wipe out our lives and treat us badly, okay? The universe is not an abusive force, and that is something I want to stress to you. The universe is kind. It is loving. If something is not in vibration and it is not grounded in a truth of a vibration that you can currently hold on to, it is going to shift us out of the way, or it's going to shift those things out of our particular path. All right, beginning here on Monday, as we're going to start the day, we're actually coming in with a void of course moon that began on Sunday the 15th, and it's carrying over into Monday. So the void of course moon time was to have gone from 11:03 p.m. on the 15th all the way until 3:38 a.m., and that is Mountain Time, Colorado time on Monday. So as we're coming in early in the day, the energy can be a little foggy. It's really about resting. It's coming in being more slow. And I just want you to know, if you get up on Monday and you're kind of like, whoa, if you're up early for some reason, you're like, I feel like there's not a lot of clarity here, I would say that you are absolutely right. Remember that the moon of void of course time is so much more about resting and ending and finishing things, and it's not really so much about starting things. Just after that, we'll see the moon shift into the vibration of Pisces as we get ready for this eclipse energy. Now, the moon moving into the vibration of Pisces is not quite void of course energy, right? Because the moon is reflecting. It's shining something back. But the moon in Pisces is more about spirituality. It's more about the waters that move in between. It's more about the worlds that are moving in between the worlds. So first of all, this is your once a month opportunity to do a check-in with yourself emotionally as to, how are you doing with your boundaries? Are you holding your boundaries? Are you placing them? Are you placing boundaries even with yourself so that emotionally you can be as generous, you can be as full, you can be as giving, you can be as creative as your vibe can possibly offer? Are there places in your vibration where you're actually escaping emotionally and you need to be handling that, or you need to be processing that, maybe even culminating or finishing it, because Pisces is one of our finishing energy. Now, later in the day, we are going to see that Venus comes into an opposition with Chiron. Now, this aspect is really interesting, I think, on Monday, because first of all, it puts us in a position that brings wounds to the surface. Now, these are going to be the wounds that in this opposition to Chiron, it's like, I still maybe see value, or the wound of my value has worked for me for a very long time. But opposing Chiron, which is this energy of healing, it's like Chiron is stepping into this dance, encouraging healing, encouraging compassion. Chiron is also retrograde at this time, so we need to keep that in mind, that it's really a neat aspect as we're here on Monday, where you're literally getting to look back at your old self, at your belief around old wounds, right? You're looking back, going all the way till December 29th, you're looking back at how you used to operate from a particular wound, and that wound was very much so related to your identity. However, in this opposition, where we're always looking for integration when there's an opposition, we don't want them to continue to pull apart, because this is not going to help you make the changes that you need to make here. And in an opposition, what could very much so be happening is that, there's an old person or there's an old situation, and maybe you've been accounting some of those old photos. Remember when you did that thing with your hair, and it's like bringing all of these things up and you're going, whoa, I am challenged with understanding my value. I am challenged to integrate an old idea about what I found valuable. And I was definitely working through maybe immaturity or some kind of wound or something like that with what I see to be valid and valuable now. Now, the places we're going to look for this to be presenting itself are the Venus realms, in your relationships, in your finances, in themes this week about self-worth. And in this opposition, if we can bring them together, we are really presented with an opportunity here on Monday to grow through the challenges of that integration, to find those places where, relating to our theme for this week, I'm willing to let some things go, let it come to an end so that I can have that integration, so that I can move on to the next phases of my development. So there's a real theme here on Monday about not only healing our relationship and identity wounds, but I think also a focus on love, a focus on compassion for ourselves, for who we are now and also who we used to be, while letting that transpire off, slip away if that's not what we need anymore. All right, as we're traveling here on Tuesday, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse happening at 25 degrees of Pisces. Now, we want to keep in mind that, first of all, I have a separate video for you done for the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Check it out. That is all we cover in that video. We go into detail. I have a breakdown for you, all of that good stuff. So make sure that you go and check that out so you can see how the cycle really works. But you want to identify where the full moon lunar eclipse is at in your chart. So you want to find where 25 degrees of Pisces lives in your actual chart. If you're not sure how to do that, I'll make sure there's a video at the end showing you how to find it in your particular chart. Now, this eclipse is marking a turning point. And because it's the full moon, it's asking us to end something, to acknowledge something, to make an adjustment, a pivot in some place. But it can amplify the emotional and Pisces spiritual contents that are kind of coming up in our face. And since Pisces does represent the spiritual understanding that things have to end and that things have to be culminated and brought together, there is a sense at this particular eclipse eclipse of a closure or an ending in some way. Now, we've got other aspects connected to this particular eclipse, including a conversation happening with Jupiter, which also gives us an indicator here on Monday that maybe you've got an idea or a story or a belief or a project that you're taking on and it is too big. You have had a very grandiose vision, right? And it doesn't make it bad. It means you were thinking big or going home. And I love that for us, right? But you were thinking like too big. And so this eclipse, as it cuts that and as it brings something to an end, it's showing you that it's like, whoa, we need to see this hidden truth that's come to light and make this thing right-sized, okay? Because spiritually, we can't do everything that you were trying to call in here. Instead, it's a way to use it is to allow the emotional culmination to kind of come and to present itself, confront truths that are keeping you on a path that you don't belong on. But instead, when we confront those truths and we let it come up, we can pivot and get on the road where we need to go. Now, we can also use the other side where we've got the sun in Virgo and we have this opportunity to balance our big, beautiful idea and desire of what we would like to happen here. It's very idealistic. It's Piscean energy, but we balance that idealism with a bit of practicality. So I have childlike faith that this is going to work out. And then I put in just the footwork. I do my little part, and then I let the universe do the heavy lifting. That's very much so an example of this. Now, we're also going to see that Mercury is in an opposition to Saturn. Okay, when we have the planet of thinking and the planet of time and limitations, mastery, coming into a square with one another. The square is the 911 aspect for us. And it says you need to do something. You will do something to get out of the square because you don't want to be squished. So under this square, as you're communicating or you're needing to make decisions, you could be faced with limitations. You find yourself where you're like, whoa, I'm limited. I can't actually make this decision. Or there's a delay or a restriction or a hold back that presents itself because Saturn is going to present some restrictive focus here. Now, the restrictive focus is going to also be something in a past, probably plan or belief system, faith that you were working with that Saturn is showing you, hold on. We need to go back over this because Saturn is retrograde if we're going to be able to express this going forward. Another thing that I really think of with Saturn are the authority figures or stories that have been authorities in your life about what you're allowed to have, how you can have it. Are you allowed to charge for your services? Are you good enough? All of these kinds of things are bonking up against each other. And there's this challenge to communicating or this challenge to making some decisions, which right behind that eclipse that's happened, you know, the eclipse, you go into it and you're thinking this thing and you're like, yes, I can have everything. And the eclipse is like, I love where your head is at, but you cannot have everything. But depending on where you're willing to put your energy, you can have anything you are willing to fully commit to. And I feel like that's what that energy presents for us full on. Now, as we roll over here into the vibration of Wednesday. Okay, on Wednesday, first of all, we're still under that vibration of Mercury squaring Saturn, but then we're going to come into a little short void, of course, moon period from 3:02 a.m. to 3:23. So again, if you are up and that's mountain time, if you're up, take a rest. It's a very brief void, of course, moon period, but sometimes all you need is just a few minutes to stop thinking, put everything down, rest for a second. You know, if for some reason there are workers that are up at that time or you are up at that time for whatever reason, remember a piece of putting things down and resting can just be, even in your mind, you're like, okay, until 3:23 a.m. when I get a little bit more light that can reflect back to what I'm thinking about, I'm going to hand this off to the universe. I'm not going to be thinking about this for the next, 30 minutes. Okay, so that's a practice that you can bring in as well and allow that vibration of the moon void, of course, not to be like a stopping energy where it's like, this is not good for doing anything. I can't make any decisions, panic, panic, panic. And instead just allowing it to be a lot of love and rest with the universe. Just after that, here on Wednesday, we're going to see that the moon enters into the vibration of Aries. So we're going to start to call in these questions of what do I need to do emotionally, right? What do I need to do? What do I need to fight for? What do I need to call in? What do I need to warrior in for myself emotionally so that I can really be functioning very well? What kind of new projects of emotional content do I want to take on? Do I want to take on something that my heart is really into? Where do I need to look at staying hydrated? Because when the moon is in Aries, we have to be mindful of inflammation and a lot of heat going on. So you do maybe want to look at, are you so stressed? Are you having troubles with your health because you are just underhydrated? And do you know what, you guys? I have really been having to work on my hydration. And this is like a lot of water for me, okay? But it's gone. So kudos, it's gone. So listen, when it comes to the business of hydration, really find out, do the calculations. What do you need on a daily basis to be hydrated in your body? And if you are like me, what are the other ways you can find hydration besides just water? For me, I like melon. I go to that watermelon. I want to find as many routes towards hydration that are not just water as I could possibly find. But let's keep that in mind as the moon is traveling for this next couple days. Or if you have a chart that is high in Aries or fire energy, let's be looking at how you can hydrate. Everybody else hydrate as well, okay? Speaking of putting things in our body that are delicious, like water and melon, as the moon is traveling through this Aries energy, call in the herbs. Cinnamon, we talked about this last week. That could be Taurus. That could be Aries. We talked a little bit about that in the comment section down below. Chili, mustard, nettle, depending on how you use the basil, you could consider basil as an herb that would be really good in Aries vibration. No matter what, while the moon is traveling for these next couple days, check in on you. Where do you need to really take care of yourself so that you don't hit some kind of burnout while you're out there doing the world? Thursday brings us into a day of beautiful energy where the sun is in a trine to Uranus. Now, when we think about the sun, we're thinking that the sun is bringing the ego, the light, heat, the life, the motivation to do something, right? And the ego properly aligned with the universe becomes a place where we move from selfishness to selflessness, and we think of ourselves in an appropriate amount, right? So it's a really beautiful thing that I've been learning a lot about. But as the sun is representing that motivated piece of what you want to do, where you want to shine, you're feeling called for it. And it's in this lovely conversation with Uranus that wants to innovate, it wants to break through, it wants to bring changes. We have this signature and this suggestion that is governing us all of Thursday that says this could be a day of beautiful breakthroughs, beautiful surprises, embracing things that are a little bit more unconventional. And unconventional doesn't mean that it came from aliens or the moon. Okay, that's fine. But maybe something really unconventional for you is just to walk or drive a different direction from work, because sometimes we can get really stuck in our own patterns, right? And this is a week where we're practicing that idea of our quote of what are we willing to release in order to embrace a new pathway forward. So where can you let some of this wonderful ease of access, unconventional energy come your way? It's a fantastic day for creativity, for technology. If you needed to work on your social media plan or start your social media plan, maybe you're building a course so that you can share your beautiful knowledge of astrology or tap dancing or something else that you do with the world. Now, the thing that I like the most about this is that Uranus and the sun coming together with this opportunity is it gives you an opportunity to find new solutions for old problems. So what has already been on your table that you've been looking at, it's not necessarily been working out the way you want it to, or you've kind of felt stuck. This is going to create, Uranus is going to go boom, get off the fence and start to provide you with new solutions. So embrace change, embrace the unexpected as we're traveling here on Thursday, remain flexible so that you get an opportunity to get a new perspective on maybe something very old or something that's been around for just a while. I think that this is further supported here on Thursday by the fact that the moon is in a wonderful connection to Jupiter that's in Gemini. So it's a great day. You're like, yeah, I'm willing to go on an adventure. I'm willing to, have more expansive conversations or more expansive explorations of what I could be doing in the world. So it's a really lovely day. Enjoy it on Thursday. On Friday, we're coming in with a very short void of course moon time. Again, this is going to be happening from 2:38 a.m. until 3:02. If you are up, go ahead and have this brief moment to avoid really big decision making and just give it a few minutes to just let yourself rest. After that, the moon is going to move into the vibration of Taurus, which I love it. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Friday is a Venus day naturally. So Friday, I feel like it's such a comfortable day in ourselves from the insides to the outsides, because as the moon is moving through Taurus, that Venus vibration, first of all, we're calling in Venus in a form of stabilization, right? It's stabilizing. We're stabilizing a lot of the intensity and the energy and the shifts and changes and the, maybe you had a big idea at that eclipse and now the universe is telling you, you got to cut that down. You got to come up with some different solutions, but maybe it hurt your feelings a little bit in the beginning of the week, or it just felt a bit chaotic. And now the moon in Taurus is bringing a stabilization to all of that intensity. So it is a time on Friday for fun, for beauty, but also for grounding, for comfort, for checking in emotionally around your finances, around your food, around your relationships. And at any level, are you doing a dance with any one of these departments of your life where you're like, I need to bring more stabilization here, but now you're emotionally motivated and willing to participate with that. Now, just after that, later in the day, we are going to see that the sun is going to come into an opposition with Neptune. Of course, the sun traveling over here in the vibration of Virgo and Neptune being over here in the vibration of Pisces. So as these two are again in opposition, they are pulling away from each other. First of all, what this can do is create confusion, because it's the confusion between what do I believe, Neptune, and what is my ideal, and what do I do, Sun and Virgo. This can be a challenge, and it can be fraught. Is anybody saying fraught anymore? It can be fraught with misunderstandings because there's just a lack of clarity as to what is happening here. And Neptune is blurring the boundaries, right? It's blurring the boundaries of what is or what could be. So it makes it very hard for that Virgo side to see things clearly and create a methodical approach to how to get to the goal that we want. Because remember, in an opposition, we don't want the purpose. The purpose is really wide. Instead, we want to see both sides for where they could be right and find the goal in the middle. So we need both sides to be walking towards each other instead of away. So what I would say for you here with this particular aspect is certainly on Friday, if you can avoid it or be more cautious about decisions that you're making, what you're bringing in, anything that you are doing in regards to water, right? If you're watering the lawn, if you are watering your friendships, if you are, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, if you are speaking or you are saying something and you are watering a conversation, I would be mindful about what you're saying or what you're doing. Bring a lot of mindfulness into what's going on, because one miscommunication can really make a big old deal and you spend a lot of time cleaning that thing up. And we also want to remember here that Neptune is retrograde, and it has been since July. So, this could be a very simple, sneaky situation where you're just talking with your family members about something in the past. You've been talking about it for a long time, or everybody knows about it, and you say one thing, and then that one thing gets gossiped or spread back to that person, and this creates a really uncomfortable, challenging situation. So I would definitely throw up some caution lights about what you're doing or what you're saying here as we close out on Friday. Now on Saturday, coming into the day on Saturday, we've got Mercury in a square to Jupiter here. Okay, so as Mercury, the planet of the smaller mind, getting all those details together, liking all of the facts, putting it all into little step-by-step steps, is squaring. So in a hard, we need to do something aspect to Jupiter, who's the planet of the big mind. I just see the big picture of what is going on. As our communication and thinking planets are squaring against each other, first of all, what it can do is we need to remember that Jupiter is the bigger energy here. So Jupiter can be making your thought process really big, really exaggerated. And whenever Jupiter comes to the table, we need to love and celebrate the wisdom that it has to offer, but do things in moderation, right? Now, squaring against this Mercury energy, first first of all, what you could do is you could be taking on a project or an idea and you're like in over computing mode. Right? It's like too much. There's too many ideas, too many directions. Yes, I've got new solutions to old problems, 10,000 of them, and it's too much. So we want to be mindful here of overproduction, overpromising, overestimating, based on our abilities. What do you actually have the capacity to do or deliver, as the case may be? Now, communication here as well. I told you we've also had that Neptune Sun energy, so things could have been misunderstandings. And so communication can just be blown out of context here. So this is a little bit of a challenging energy, I think, as we're navigating Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But certainly what you want to do is lean into the fact that the moon at this point is still in Taurus. So there is some grounding here, right? The biggest principle that has saved my relationships and interactions sometimes is just to shut my mouth. Just shut up and listen for a minute to what is going on, to be quiet when I feel like I need to jump in and make that commitment to really take on the thing. And it's like, well, hold on. I've got these 5 commitments over here. I just got my new solutions to old problems that I have to go figure out over here. I can't commit to your thing over here. Myron Gold says, I can't take your opportunity. I have to work on my opportunities right now. And I love that. And that is something that has helped me guide what is going on. And shutting my mouth is sometimes the most spiritual thing that I do in a situation, because I need to listen. And I need to also not do any more damage under this aspect. I don't need to create any more communication chaos. Sometimes I just need to sit and listen. Now, as we get to the second half of the day, happy birthday, beautiful Libra friends. Welcome the sun into Libra. So for all of us, the Libra area of your chart is getting lit up. It's happy birthday for that Libra area, but it also is going to bring in the equinox, okay? It means we're coming into the autumn equinox here in the north. So we've got a new season that is on our hands, since Libra is a cardinal energy and gets us started for a new season. So, one of the things I do like about this is that, first of all, our attention with the sun coming into Libra shifts to partnerships. It's going to shift into where we partner, not just with other people, but with other resources or ideas that take us to the next level. And these are significant partnerships that we need to be coming into, because we can't go any further without partnering. If this is a thing in your life where you're like, I'd like to have a different financial situation, I'd like to have a different relationship situation, I would like to have a life that feels more full and impactful, those are off the table if there are no other people involved, if there are no relationships involved. If I want to have a more healthy emotional nature, not possible unless other people get involved, because you have to have the mirrors. Libras are mirroring energy, and then we are tasked with learning to come into balance with that. So Libra season is the time where we're going to reflect on, how do we bring more balance? How do we bring more fairness? How do we bring more equilibrium into these area of relationships in our lives? Because we've got to have the relationships, okay? Now, other things to think about as we're traveling through this Libra season time is that because Libra is ruled by Venus, the way we want to go about bringing this balance and this equilibrium into our lives is through harmony. Right? I'm not looking to just have it my way. I want harmony. Genuine harmony is what we're going for when Venus gets involved. I want to create beauty. I want to seek fairness. I want to attract to me balance and abundance and fairness in my relationships. But the focus is going to be on creating beneficial partnerships, balanced partnerships. And this is both professionally, personally, and I like to say spiritually as well. Because where are you looking at or exploring where you are in or out of partnership balance with whatever you call a higher power, with your body, right? That is a conscious, chosen one-on-one relationship. So where are we looking at where Venus can bring a softening to that work that we need to do? And at the equinox time, something to just consider as we've shifted from this eclipse and Pisces energy at the beginning of the week to now is, first of all, equinox. When we're looking at what's happening for us astronomically, right? Like what we've got going on here in our change of season it's the time when day and night are equal length. And this is our symbology of some kind of balance, right? So even in the cosmos of what's happening around us, it's like the earth is going, I need balance. Our energies around us are looking to balance out, and we get to participate in that. So again, it points to our time and our season to reflect on balance and what needs to go out of our lives that is not on the pathway to true balance. So as you're traveling here on Saturday, I would really encourage you to take this forward with you, looking at the balancing out of your relationships with that focus on harmony and where can I make fresh starts and how I'm showing up in my relationships that will allow me to achieve this. All right, as we are coming into Sunday, first and foremost, we've got the sun over here in a trine to Pluto. This is powerful. It's powerful. It's empowering. It's an aspect that brings a lot of depth and transformation to the surface because it's also quite investigative. You know, you're over here, you're wanting to find out some information, and this is an earth trine. So you are looking in the space of the material things that you can touch that bring stability, that bring value into your life. And you are looking at what can I do from an empowered perspective to continue my personal growth here, to have a really deep insight around my material resources, since this is again an earth energy. I think it's also an excellent time here on Sunday to tackle any projects that are going to require you to actually sit down, focus, take it piece by piece, make a commitment to dedicating yourself to something. Now, because this is in the earth energy, I'm going to point you back to the material things that bring stability into your life. This is that business. This is those finance. That business and that finance place. This is going to be that place of what are you doing with your finances? Have you learned about investing so that you can create wealth for yourself when you're not working? You know, what are the material things you've got to get in groove and alignment with, and then create a plan to either sit down and learn about them or engage them. And it's going to require that level of dedication. Okay. This can also be pointed at. It's Virgo energy, your health, a daily routine. You know, where are you at? Do you have a routine in your life that allows you to be wonderfully productive? If you don't, say thank you very much. Eclipse in Pisces for letting me see what needs to go out. It needs to transition out. I don't have a good plan around this so that I can bring it down to size. Now, after that, we're going to see that we've got another brief void, of course, moon time from 4:13 to 4:24 a.m. And that's going to be just very quick. So allow yourself to rest and to put it down. Then the moon will move into Gemini. So it's a busy, chatty Sunday as we come around. We're talking about how I feel. We're talking about what I've learned. We're talking about how I'm feeling about what I've learned. And all of these things are coming back into balance. Just after that, we will see that Venus comes into a square with Pluto. Now, the sun is over here vibing it out with Pluto, right? It's like, yeah, let's be empowered and get some things done. But Venus is squaring to Pluto, and this square creates a power struggle in relationships. This can bring a space of power struggle in relationships or around financial things. This can bring information up where you're like, wow, that's really manipulative, or that really lacks a lot of depth and I need to make a change to that. It might be a place where in the depth of what you're finding out in that Pluto square, you're like, I really don't know what to do with my resources. I really don't have the skills or the talents or the know-how to navigate my relationships, my finances, my self-worth, or my value. I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't have a beauty routine. You may be asking some of these questions, or you could even be, you know, you're watching something or you're online and you're seeing all of the marketing being pushed to you and it feels manipulative. And you're like, these aren't the products I need. In that case, it gives you an excellent opportunity to curate a feed in your life that has the products you do want to interact with, right? So it's going to be a very interesting day. Just behind that, we'll see Venus enter into the vibration of Scorpio. Now, Venus in Scorpio is passion. It is intensity. I'm thinking about the little clip, the little reel I did last year of Venus when it got into Scorpio. I was like, more passion, more energy, more footwork. And it's absolutely like that. So, you know, we're going to bring those intensities and those passions into our relationships. So it's also going to be a time where we're calling into us no surface level things. I want these deep communications. I want deep emotional communications. I want deep experiences. I want, Energetically, I think that it encourages us to bring transformation in how we relate to ourselves and our value, and then how we share that with other people, because Scorpio is a sharing energy. So that's going to be pretty profound. Globally, I was thinking about this as I was working this up and getting ready to teach some mundane astrology with astrologyhub.com. But I was thinking about how globally this particular transit, I think we're going to see some pretty intense financial shifts and intense power struggles that are going to be coming up, specifically, obviously, in the political arenas. And of course, in the United States, we're in the space of an election. But I was thinking more about historically where some of these come to. We're seeing financial markets, or of course, those political relationships that are going to start during this transit experience a bit of volatility. Right? It's a bit of volatility. We'll see where manipulation is at the surface, where we've got secret things going on, secret agendas. We'll see intense transformations. What actually is coming in, what's actually valuable in these arenas changes place. And I think that we'll see it on the world stage. I don't think it's just going to be the United States, but I think the Venus and Scorpio transit is going to really shift us in the conversation of resources and debt. And that can be the same in our personal lives as well. So if for you, you're feeling this deep desire in your relationships and you're wanting to connect more on that soul level because you're like, I have like a soul debt, I have an intimacy debt, and I want to fill that. This is something we can absolutely see here, but those superficial connections are not going to be working for you, at least not for, the rest of this particular month and this particular transit. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, thanks for being here with me. Now, make sure you go check out this video over here where I talk about the full moon lunar eclipse happening in Pisces so you can get up to date, because that is going to impact us not only for the next 6 months, but all the way until the tip top of 2027. And also it flashes us back to 2023. So you want to know where you're really at in the cycle and what you're working on in your personal chart. And if you don't know how to find this stuff in your chart, make sure you click the video that's down here, and it's going to show you how to find these active transits in your own particular chart. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye.